Hello, citizens of the literary internet. Let's do a tag, shall we? I'm Chelsea of the Reading Outlaw, here today doing the coffee book tag. I first saw this tag over on Sam's channel at Novels and Nonsense. It was originally created by Bangity Bangs, and I will link both of those videos in the info box below. All of those of you who know me or have kind of been watching my channel for any period of time know that I love coffee. I have my coffee here today in my beautiful Disney Princess Belle mug. I drink probably at least 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day. So when I saw Sam doing the coffee book tag, I figured, hey, coffee, books, I love both of those things. Let's do a tag about them. All right, so the first question is Black, a hard to get into book, but that has a hardcore fan base. And for this, I picked The Gunslinger by Stephen King. Here, let me switch hands and hold it in this hand. And I picked this book because this is the first book in his Dark Tower series, which is an absolutely amazing fantasy series. I just finished up the 4th book, Wizard and Glass, but I picked this book because I actually had a really, really hard time getting into this series because it's a fantasy book, but it's also a Western. Like, it's modeled after a lot of like the story formulas of Westerns. Roland is a cowboy. There's a lot of saloons and desert towns and all of that kind of stuff. And so, like I said, I actually had a really, really hard time getting into this book. I kept going because every single person I mentioned The Dark Tower to told me it was some of the best books they've ever read. So if that's not like a hardcore fan base, I don't know what is. I actually really like this edition because it's illustrated. It's got these like full color panels kind of sprinkled throughout. Let me see if I can find another one that just illustrate different parts of the book. There are also a couple graphic novels based on the Dark Tower series that follow along with like some of the actual written novels, so you can always check that out if that's more your thing. But yes, had a hard time getting into it. People absolutely adore it. The next one is Peppermint Mocha, a book that gets more popular at the holidays. I know a lot of people went like Christmassy with this one because Peppermint Mocha is a Christmas drink. My favorite holiday, or one of my favorite holidays, is actually Halloween. So I went with The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which is a book that I read absolutely every Halloween, along with The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, because I just think they're, oh, and something by Neil Gaiman, because I just think all of them are absolutely fantastic at atmosphere and at crafting that spooky atmosphere that people are looking for around the time period. So yes, absolutely love Oscar Wilde around Halloween. The next one is Espresso Shot, a book that kept you on the edge of your seat the entire time. This, I don't read a lot of like thriller books necessarily, but one of the ones that I did read and have not been able to read again since is The Ruins by Scott Smith. They made this into a movie. It is absolutely terrifying. It is about these, I think there are 4 of them, like 4 or 5 college age camping kids who are going to like some Mayan ruins, and they like take an off the beaten trail kind of thing, and they get to this place that they think it is, but it's not. And all the plants start coming alive. It's been a long time since I've read this because it like scared me so incredibly badly. But essentially what it boils down to is they end up kind of stranded on this mountain because there's this group of Mayan peoples who won't let them leave because they've like stepped foot onto this mountain, and like the plants start coming alive and people start dying, and they like can mimic human sounds, so people think they're going insane. I read this in a readathon, a Dewey's readathon when I was in college, and oh my God. Oh my God. Like, it kept me reading, so it was a good readathon book that way, but also, like, no. Just no. All right, the next part of the tag is Starbucks, a book you see everywhere. And the book I picked for this one is actually kind of old, but if you're me and you grew up in one of the few liberal towns in a conservative state and you had a lot of friends who were in political science, you saw The Audacity of Hope on every single college shelf that you went into. I have seen this book hundreds and hundreds of times in different people's offices and on their bookshelves and in their bedrooms. I actually own a copy that I very, very sadly have not read because I read Dreams of My Father first and then just got kind of sidetracked. I'd like to read it. I'm almost wondering if it's kind of too late now because, we all have seen what's happened like since he's become president. Not that he's done like a particularly bad job, but it's just, this is kind of his pre-presidency hopefulness. And I just don't know if it would be just a little bit too cynical to read it now. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I saw this book everywhere I went. Oh my God, I skipped one. I skipped one of the tags. One of the tags is Hot Chocolate, your favorite children's book. And duh. Although this is my least favorite one, I actually gave the first one out to a friend who's never read them before, so this is just the next one that I had available that I grabbed. Least favorite installment in the series, best children's series, best series like ever of all time. I'll go down for that one. Local coffee shop, that's the next tag, and it's to give a shout out to an indie author. I actually don't have any indie author books at the moment. All the copies that I've ever gotten have always been really ratty, so they didn't survive my last purge. But lately I've been super into literary magazines, and this is an old issue of Glitter Train that I actually just got done reading, and it is absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I have the hiccups. It's absolutely amazing. I love Glitter Train. I love literary journals. I love that they come with a mashup of photography, and I'm trying to find a good page, of photography and stories, and oftentimes there's prose in addition to poetry. And so it just is really, I like to go through and kind of do a little bit of annotating as I'm reading, just for ideas for my own writing. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do for this tags. I'm going to give a shout out to literary journals and literary magazines. I think they're absolutely fantastic. And oh, I have two more. Okay, so the next one is Oops Decaf. Like, oops, you accidentally got decaf coffee, which I hate. Like, there's nothing worse. But it's a book you expected more from. And this one might ruffle a few feathers, but I'm willing to accept that. It is Feed by Myra Grand. This is the first in a zombie trilogy that is decently recent, I want to say. My husband's actually finished all of these, and he really liked them. I was not so thrilled. This takes place in a world where zombies are kind of a thing. Like, basically, the cure for the common cold and the cure for cancer were both released and somehow combined to create zombies. And then the story is about Georgia Mason and her brother Sean, who are actually like bloggers and social media reporters in this futuristic world where this is happening. And it's like, I liked a lot of the world building. I like, talking about like the medical restrictions and how this zombieism came to be and what they have to do and how the zombieism affects different aspects of their life, even though they're not zombies. But then, I mean, the action was so weirdly paced. And from what my husband has told me, things get like a weird later on in the other novels, and I just didn't even continue. But yeah, this may suffer because I'm not huge into zombies, so that may be part of the problem I had with it. But yeah, I was definitely expecting a little bit more from this one. And last but not least, The Perfect Blend, a book that was bittersweet but ultimately satisfying. And I picked for this one Bel Canto by Ann Patchett, which I adored, absolutely adored, flew through it. I actually read it first when I was in high school. I want to say I was a junior, and I've read it a couple of times since then. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, Ann Patchett's prose is one thing, but the storyline that follows a group of dignitaries who are in, I believe it's Colombia. Oh, it just says somewhere in South America. But they're throwing a birthday party for a very powerful Japanese businessman. So there's an Italian opera singer and a couple of translators and different dignitaries, all of whom are taken hostage. And so it's about the relationships between the hostages and the hostage takers, and just the hostages amongst themselves and their love stories and loss and pain. And it's so beautifully written. I hate the ending of this book. Like, the epilogue or whatever is absolutely awful. I just wish that I'd never read it. I pretend it doesn't exist now when I do reread it. just be forewarned with that. You may just want to stop after the last chapter. But it's absolutely the perfect book for this tag because it's bitter and sweet, but as long as you skip the epilogue, the ending is absolutely perfect. So yeah, that is the last little bit of the tag. I had so much fun doing it. I love book tags, especially, like I said, tags that combine two of my favorite things, books and coffee. So I thank you guys so much for coming by. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. In terms of who I tag everybody. I don't particularly do the whole tagging specific people. I want everybody to feel free to do this tag. If you do, please leave me your video below or let me know that you did it so I can go watch it. I love this tag, like watching other people's videos of this tag. Like, comment, subscribe on all the social media, and I will see you around the internet. Bye, guys.